the BBC, you can literally squeeze the corporation dry. We've seen so many of those alleged stars like Naga Munchetty, Clive Myrie, all doing those behind the scenes talks for major corporate companies. And how they get round it is this: you only find out about this after it's put out in the public domain about what they've earned. What they now do to get round it is, you see, a lot of these things are done online, and you sign NDAs so that actually it's only the employees that know, for instance, who addressed their company. And these companies are willing to pay big bucks to get BBC broadcasters to come and front their message, either way, whichever way you look at it. Incredible when you think. Now, one person who's obviously now very much disgraced and has actually had to resign from the BBC after a stellar career is this man, Huw Edwards, very much disgraced. And I'm not, piling anything on. I mean, it's a terrible shame what he did. He was a very favourite of course, our late and wonderful monarch, Her Majesty the Queen, Queen Elizabeth II. And he was the person that everybody went to for the big events, Now, this year, of course, is an election year here over in the United Kingdom, and he would be the natural to front it. But now there's an even bigger problem for the BBC. Let me explain. Morning, lovely to see you. Yeah, we'll have a quick wave. You all right? Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, no, we'll do it again. Who cares if people are looking? You're daft, I'm daft. It doesn't matter. I know. Somebody said to me, were people looking at you on the tube, Neil? Yes, but then again in London, people don't care, do they? If you're talking to yourself, it's almost a bonus, isn't it? Make sure you keep the seat empty next to you. Nobody wants to sit to the person talking to themselves, do they? It's always good fun though, isn't it? I do kind of find that, in the sense of like when you get the stick out, people are like, who's this? Or who's this? Not talking to himself. It works, yes. Back as ever to your story of the day. Big problem, though, for the BBC, because as you know, Huw Edwards was the voice, the man, of course, that dealt with all the major announcements over the last 20 years, including the sad demise of our wonderful late monarch, Queen Elizabeth. Now, the problem is this, you see, that every time there's an anniversary or particularly documentaries being made about Queen Elizabeth, the BBC, I have been told, have decided that they don't want to license out that particular clip visually. They don't mind people using it in audio form. This is the clip where Huw Edwards sadly announced the passing of Queen Elizabeth. It was a landmark moment. It's up there with all of those big things. Landing on the moon, Kennedy shot, that type of thing. Everybody will remember where they were when they heard that particular announcement. But you see, the BBC feel that each time that's played back, it reminds people of the disgrace that, of course, that particular individual brought on the corporation, and reminds them of all the other disgraces of the last, say, 40 years that the BBC have heaped upon themselves. Maybe that's a little unkind, but there you go. So for now, whether you were thinking of ever going to see that again, apart from people being able to clip it, of course, from social media, and they could possibly use that unless, of course, Huw Edwards says he doesn't want it, and that could be legal retractions and recourse, they have no plans to ever feature him ever again. And when you think about it, it's a terribly sad end, even though it was brought on by himself, to what was a stellar career. I'm sure you'll agree. I'd love to know, what do you think to this? Are they right or wrong? Should they just let history play out? I mean, does it really matter? But of course, with the BBC, they're battling literally for your money, as I've pointed out so many times. And the more times they're reminded of their disgrace, the worse it becomes for them. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.